On this episode of DC On Screen, we are talking about Arrow Season 8 with an emphasis on the series finale, Fadeout, right after this word from our sponsors that we can't control whatsoever. Welcome into DC On Screen episode 580. I'm David C. Robertson. This, the most reliable arrow in my quiver, my co-host, Jason Goss.
Lies.
We are DC On Screen. This is the podcast where we discuss the DC Comics multiverse on film and television, give honest opinions on projects upcoming and past, and believe that every version of a property is valid, even if we don't want it to be. If it has been released, it is fair game, so beware of spoilers. And welcome to the show. And you know what's been released? The final episode of Arrow.
The finale.
Man, what a ride.
Yeah, I mean, I know anyone who's a long-time listener has heard the story, but you want to briefly recap where we started with this?
Yes, but let's do it after this quick announcement I have.
Sweet.
One of our listeners, DCU FanFam over on Twitter, has graciously offered to donate his Joker digital code to a giveaway. So if you don't own Joker yet on digital and would like to, here's what you got to do. Leave a rating and written review on Apple Podcasts or the podcatcher of your choice. If you don't want to or can't do that for some reason, like a lot of the podcatchers don't have the option to leave a review. Mm-hmm. You can also share our show on social media, give it a good recommendation. Let us know either way that you're actually entering the contest, because there are a few people who just do it just because they love us. Screenshots and tagging is really, bless them. Screenshots and tagging are a great way to do that. Just let us know. You'll be entered into the contest. At the end of the month, we will use a random number generator. By the way, that month that I'm talking about, February. So around early March-ish, we're gonna announce what's gonna happen, but or who won. We're gonna use a random number generator to pick the winner. Depending on how well this goes, we may do more of these types of giveaways in the future. Also, if you write a review or recommend us by saying, I'm just doing this for the free movie, you're disqualified, because that just makes everybody look like an ass. But mostly you. But yeah, that's it. That's my spiel.
And we're off.
So, last season of Arrow. It's mostly been a, hey, where were we going? Or where have we been?
Yeah.
And then where are we going? Mainly towards Crisis.
You know, it's a Sorkin tradition to name the last of his episodes what kind of day has it been. Uh-huh. I feel like that fits a lot here.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because there's a tradition with series finales. You just want to kind of, especially leading up to it. And this show did a really good job of leading up to, like, they weren't just trying to take care of everything in one episode. They had a premise which allowed them to expand the idea of the final episode and try to deal with it over several episodes. Yeah. Which is nice. Like, a lot of shows don't have that. And I think they really took pretty good advantage of it.
Right. I liked that.
But it wasn't just quick. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to shove all this in. It was, we've been leading up to this.
What I liked about season 8 of Arrow is, like, the two series that are primarily really affected by the crisis were Arrow and Flash. And I love that since Arrow pretty much started this iteration of the multiverse or whatever. Not really, not when you start looking at all the things they tied in. But Arrowverse started the Arrowverse. And all this crazy amount of shows. And they were obviously the center of this crisis. Yeah. But
no, I mean, where this show stands as far as what it started and what is now after the events of this crossover, what it is responsible for is, to me, just unfathomable that they pulled that off.
Yeah, and I love that they spent, because there's no way to do Crisis in 5 episodes. There's just not. No. And I love that they spent so much time building up to it in the first 7 episodes of Arrow, and they did it in a way. Yeah, and in Flash, but we're, talking about the last season of Arrow here.
Just mentioning some tangentials that mattered.
I know, but we spent so much time, and it's an interesting comparison too, because over on the Flash, you got Barry, who is seriously dealing with the sacrifice that he knows he's got to make, and he's got to, he's coming to terms with that and thinking, there might be a way out of it, but he seriously doubts it. And then you've got Oliver over on the other side, hopping over to Earths and shit, different Earths, and dealing with the same thing.
Doing the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And one of my favorite parts of the entire crossover is just the first moment where Barry says, well, I have to die. And just Oliver just says, bullshit, fuck it. Where are you? I want to talk right the fuck now. Like, I loved that moment.
Yeah.
We had a fucking agreement. Yeah. That was
for the Elseworld situation, not for this one.
Exactly. No, it had an in-canon explanation. I loved that moment. I thought it made a lot of sense what all the characters have been doing this seasons, or these series of seasons, and they it was so good to watch in that moment, like that they hadn't talked about the sacrifice that he was making.
Yeah,
and Oliver wouldn't.
Right.
He wouldn't come back and be like, well, here's the sitch.
Mm-hmm.
Can't imagine having him having that conversation.
Yeah, which does feel like Oliver. It definitely feels like Oliver to not like bring that shit up, or have a discussion with Barry. It was a missed opportunity.
Cosmic God, and then just call him on it.
Yeah, all of that seems appropriate for Ollie. I don't know how. I do feel like there was at a certain point where Oliver is seeing like Earth 2 get destroyed in front of his eyes in episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of felt like he should maybe go over to Central City for a second and be like, hey Barry, I need help. Things.
Yeah.
A little bit. Like, it's a little bit of a missed opportunity. Because at that point Barry could have been like, oh yeah, cuz I done seen that shit. It blew up. Everything gone. They could have maybe done something with that, but it does feel like Oliver also is very much under the command of the Monitor throughout this last season, and just sort of doing exactly what he says because he has to.
Yeah, I mean, he has a carrot and a stick. He's abiding by the rules.
Mm-hmm. I like seeing Earth 2 Queen Mansion. And everyone who was there, everyone who survived, how things could have been different.
Yeah.
I liked seeing. I thought it was kind of interesting how they went about it, like as a goodbye to the show. Like every episode sort of being hey, this is what happened in this season. We're going to revisit Hong Kong. We're going to revisit Nanda Parbat, etc. I thought that was an interesting choice. And we got to see, Thea and wow, the names are just leaving my head. It's over and I'm done now. Roy.
What happened? Roy. Okay.
Yeah. I love that he lost his arm. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh, that was really good.
That was rough to watch too.
By the way, in saying even that, it feels like we're going to skip over some stuff, and we are. Mm-hmm. We just are. We're just going to talk about the entire series with, like you said, the the onus being on the last episode. But fuck, him losing his arm, like, that was so rewarding.
Yes.
Which feels weird to say. Mm-hmm. It just feels weird to say out loud. But it really made a lot of sense. And then him getting the little mechanical arm back and everything like that. And by the way, him and Thea, I really enjoyed that.
Yes.
In the finale, that hit.
Yes.
That hit to me. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
I was heavily in favor.
I was too. I was happy to see that happen. Happy that Roy is not gonna. I mean, as far as we can tell, is not gonna wind up on freaking Leanne Yu in the future.
Yeah,
being a sad bastard.
Being a sad boy.
Yeah, love seeing Anatoly again. I just always love seeing Anatoly. Love that he's back in Oliver's corner.
Every time. Every single time. They've been fun to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've enjoyed this season. It's been weird though, for real. And I
to see the whole thing in the context of the Crisis events.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a hell of a journey. Like, if anything, we need to kind of focus on, okay, well, after Crisis, what did we get? And by the way, this is the major bet that I lost.
Uh-huh.
You did really get Tommy back.
I really did. Yeah, that was Eric Leeper mentioned that. And we talked about it the last episode a little bit, but He was saying, like, I was going to owe you $1 worth of pennies. And apparently in the episode, this old ass episode, like maybe our 6th episode ever, 5th or 6th, something like that, maybe 3rd. I don't even know. But yeah, you said I wasn't gonna get Tommy. We made a bet, so
I mean, I can still argue that like you didn't get him in.
You know what?
The Arrow canon, but
yeah, because this is Earth Prime. This isn't Earth 1. This is a separate universe. He even mentions it in the episode of saying that, you know, a different Earth version of him died. So I don't know, man. I feel like this is at best a gentleman's draw.
No. What we have left at this point is Earth Prime.
Mm-hmm.
That is, and I would be happy to die by the side of this argument right now. This is the new universe. We combine things. This is Earth CW, Earth Prime, Earth everything. Whatever was left at the wayside is gone. So on the one hand, I could say like, yeah, it took an entire crisis event to give you your Tommy back. On the other hand, I'd have to be like, well, but he's here right the fuck right now. So fucking, I got nothing. Here's your 100 pennies, man.
Can you not give me the 100 pennies? I just don't want the 100 pennies.
I don't either. I don't even know where I'd get them. I will emotionally give you $1 right now on air.
Right.
Yours.
Right. I was gonna say, like, can we just like do like a gentleman's handshake or something, and then realize that
we're both out eating together, and you're leaving a tip. I will leave the extra $1 that you were gonna leave.
I don't leave tips. You leave the tips if you're paying. I'll leave a tip if I have to pay, but I mean,
That is sadly true. Most of the time we go out to eat, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be over here right now. I'm buying if you want to come. Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's how that works. Like that's what you have to do to like lure me out of my house.
Actually, this will be even better. I'm just going to leave an extra $1 worth of tip when you remind me over whatever the hell I was going to.
Yeah, you'll leave an extra $1 worth of tip plus whatever meal you're going to purchase for me, because otherwise I'm not leaving my house.
I'd like to add to the tip though, because at least it'll just be another $1's worth of joy into the world.
Yeah.
So my lost bet, not for loss.
Right.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Like, hey, you want to go meet somewhere? Can't we do this over the phone? I'm buying. All right, I'll be there in a minute.
I'll be there in 7. Go ahead and order carnitas.
Yeah, carnita. Right, sure. Yeah. Those sound good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I was very pleased. I think I was very pleased with this season. I feel like the most disappointing episode of the season was probably the backdoor pilot, just because I generally hate those anyway.
I wasn't so much disappointed about it. I think they've learned a lot of lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I'm going to feel about that show, but I didn't hate the backdoor pilot part of it. And I especially like, how many times has the CW and a number of other shows that even we carry, like there's the CW alone uses this mechanism a lot, and DC Universe has apparently taken it under their wing as well. We're used to that idea. I didn't think it was a bad backdoor pilot, but I'm not completely sold on where I'm going with it. I mean, I really like Mia.
Yeah, I think you had like half of an idea that I agree with there. It wasn't a bad pilot, but it was a terrible episode of Arrow.
You know, yeah. As far as like the penultimate episode of Arrow goes, yeah, that would have been better served some other way.
It was like the last episode of Enterprise, where it's like they really just kind of wrapped it into a TNG episode. I'm like, I don't want to see a TNG. I want to watch the last episode of Enterprise. That's not what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Like, don't give me 2 episodes. Just make 9 and 10 part of Fadeout and just be done with it. Don't whatever.
You've been hurt this way before.
I have. Yeah,
we've all been there. I get it. The actual show as it existed in that 9th episode, I don't have a problem with it. I feel like it's dangerous to express indifference in certain ways, but I have nothing against it, and I'm hopeful, and honestly, I expect good things.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I hope they pick it up, because they actually left it on a hell of a cliffhanger.
We're gonna get that show.
You think?
I'd bet money.
So? Yeah, me too. But if they're just
It's
like,
happening.
oh, we decided. Like, oh, we decided not to do it. Oh, okay.
If we didn't get that show, I would still be pretty happy with kind of seeing where that goes in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'll give it this. If we do see where that goes in the future, given what I saw, yeah, I mean, I can dig that. There's a lot of attraction here for me. If we didn't, cool. Nice, like, slap shot into the future, get to see what's going on, and don't have to worry about it later, kind of thing.
Well, William is kidnapped.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I guess, like, since she figured out where young William was in the finale and then did the right thing and didn't murder the guy who kidnapped him, we know that she's going to follow in her father's footsteps and find adult William. I just hope that it's not like, if they do make Green Arrow and the Canaries into a show, I hope that it's not like a VR Troopers type of situation where she's just like looking for William like the entire series.
Oh God, no! God,
Like,
please no!
Complete with like the voiceover at the end where she's like standing by the little like outdoor gazebo dojo and she's like, I don't know where you are, William, but I will find you someday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where else can you get a VR Troopers reference on an Arrow podcast? Only right here, baby. Only right here. So yeah, I hope that Green Arrow and the Canaries, it's not exactly a show that I was like super excited to see happen. I'm not terribly interested in it, but now that they have ended it with a cliffhanger with William being kidnapped and sort of proven to us in Fadeout that Mia can be the Green Arrow of the future and that she's found William before, I'd like to see her go forward. And I'd like to at least get like a mini series, if nothing else. I'm sure they'll order it to series in some capacity. But
I'm into it.
I'm pretty sure they're in the clock tower from Birds of Prey again, or at least part of that set.
That's pretty good.
They just keep using that set.
That's a good set.
It's not a bad set.
And they have it just sitting somewhere. Yeah, why?
By the way, I love that the human trafficker was named John Byrne. That was fun.
I'm gonna feel like an idiot. Explain that reference to me.
John Byrne is just a famous artist and writer who has worked on a ton of different things, including Green Arrow. He also
the name sounds familiar, but I feel like I'm just forgetting something.
He was also like one of the primary people who revitalized X-Men back in the day with Chris Claremont.
That's where. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's worked on a ton of Star Trek books, comic books. That is. Yeah, he's pretty big deal in the comic book industry.
He's out there. Okay.
Yep. So the finale was pretty confusing to me at first. Like we had to like pause it and like suss it all out because it was like, wait a minute. At first, I didn't know where it happened and at what point. So I'm like, okay, so according to the documentary, Dinah Drake is still post-crisis. She's being promoted, and because she said the day after Oliver's memorial, and then like the memorial actually happens at the end of the episode. So she's going to move to Metropolis. She turns down the job. She's going to move to Metropolis. Now, according to Green Arrow and the Canaries, the last episode, or the penultimate episode of Arrow, the day after Oliver's memorial, she woke up in the future, and there was no record of her existence. So Fade Out happens before that for her, but after Green Arrow and the Canaries for Mia.
Yeah.
So there was just a few
still
things.
room for something
Right.
to go the fuck down.
So I just kind of kept like pausing it. Me and my wife just kept pausing like, okay, wait.
There's a space here. Some shit's gonna go down.
So Mia has watched her brother get kidnapped in the future.
Right.
She is already hanging out with Katie Cassidy and Juliana Harkavy or whatever her name is, with Dinah and Laurel, or Dinah and Dinah.
Yeah.
If you want to get funny about it.
I like Dinah and Laurel in this scenario, but okay.
Right. So, but for Dinah and Laurel in the past, they have not had that adventure yet. So I'm just okay, this is some Stephen Moffat shit. They're getting wibbly wobbly, timey wimey with me. But that was great. That was interesting and made me think for a second. Really made me live, practice what I preach. Like I gave it a minute. I had to continuously give it a minute. I loved seeing everybody come back, man. I loved seeing the flashbacks to Oliver. I loved being reminded of what he was like and what the show was like back in 2012.
That they did a great job with that.
Yeah, I really loved that. I loved seeing everybody pop up. I loved seeing Sarah and
Sarah, like somebody who's become so integral to another show. Like originally in the pilot being some just forgotten figure.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they worked that in, despite it being recast and everything else, that's I don't know, that's important.
Now, I think my favorite thing about this, and there's an air of, well, none of the show made sense. I've seen a couple of people say that, or none of the show mattered, and I disagree completely. And I think, and the big hang up seems to be that Oliver brought everybody back, everybody of consequence, except for Earth One Laurel, of course.
She gone. Actually, that was one of my favorite parts of the episode was her conversation. Laurel, there's nothing about you that needs to be fixed.
Mm-hmm. And I liked Moira's explanation of that too.
Moira. God, when the one thing about this show that I'm going to really enjoy is not trying to ever have to fucking say her name again.
Right. Well, Moira explains.
You say, but my mouth disagrees with.
Moira explains. I think to Speedy. She tells her, like, because Speedy doesn't understand, much like the fans, why he would. Well, the fans didn't wonder about Robert Queen. They were wondering about, like, why wouldn't he bring back Earth One Laurel? And she,
or I forget who the hell Moira was dating for a while there. That seemed like a pretty good bloke, but
he just left her and went on to other things. He
just bounced.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen Walter, but
Walter, that was his name.
Walter Steele. Yeah. But that would have been neat to see him, but we didn't get that, and we got so much else. I feel like I can't really complain. But Moira explains that she thinks Oliver couldn't bring back anyone whose death changed him as a person.
It was a pretty good explanation,
which would explain. And
that was pretty solid writing.
Quentin believes that he didn't bring back Earth One Laurel because Earth Two Laurel didn't need fixing and didn't whatever. Now those are
compatible thoughts to me.
The writers went back and forth on whether they should bring back Earth One Laurel, and I guess it was just too much to deal with to have like two different versions of Laurel in the future, because you're going to have Earth 2 Laurel and
that would be a lot.
And also you'd be kind of like undoing a little bit of Earth 2 Laurel's character development. Not completely, but absolutely. She did. I mean, you wouldn't be, because only in her
No, you would though. In her case, exactly her case, a lot of her character development is derived from the original Cassidy appearance.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, maybe. But I think fine with it.
The OG, Laurel Lance, is just... I'm sorry, but... And by the way, she is our least favorite version of that actress's appearance in this universe.
Yeah.
Like, they have gotten better and better and better. Like, at this point, I really like what they've got going on right now. But no, I'm good. I'm going to bounce.
She's my second least favorite version of the character.
Yeah.
My least favorite version of the character was the Smallville version.
Oh, man, that was dark.
But, yeah, I even like Frank Miller's All-Star Batman and Robin version of Black Canary better than...
There are a lot of better versions. Honestly, there are a lot of better versions. In this version...
I mean, this also
what we have right now. This is, for me, for my flavorings, for my subjective opinion, this is my favorite version of Laurel that we've seen so far. I'm happy that they keep her, and I'm actually pretty happy. Like, I really dug that conversation. I dug that they included that as her development even in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
That this conversation was what they were gearing towards, and it was Lance of all people, who I think, by the way, is just going to be gone outright after this little side note.
Maybe. We'll probably still hear about him.
We'll hear about him. Maybe we'll see him from time to time, but he's pretty much gone. Just write him out.
I'd love to see an occasional. I'd love to see an occasional Lance in old makeup hanging out on Green Arrow and the Canaries.
I mean, don't count it out, but
give him a happy ending a little bit.
Don't count on him. He's gone. But for him, of all people, and after all of the development that those two have had, this other version of his daughter that is never going to be his daughter, but somebody who really means a lot to him, and this version of her dad, who all the sames, all the feels, man, they were a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that conversation for me, God, it was really good.
Yeah,
such a fucking fatherly thing to say. Like, well, you don't need any improvement. And not only does it like make sense with the new Arrowverse.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense, like, as a father, a thing you say, like, especially as a father figure, like somebody who's trying to take on that role, a thing you might say, and in that universe, a thing that is completely cogent. It makes complete sense. Those are the same phrases, whatever. I don't know. I totally balled it. Like that was a real heart jerking moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
My heart got jerked toward the surface, toward the light.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked that that Oliver resurrected so many people and basically created his own version of Star City. Now, what's interesting is I saw an article point this out, and I had forgotten all about it, and I was really glad to see this because this is pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. Someone basically, I think it was someone on comicbook.com wrote an article about how they basically turned Oliver into Parallax because in the comics,
wow.
at the vanishing point, during 0 hour. At the vanishing point, during 0 hour, freaking Parallax decides to recreate the universe and bring everybody back that he lost in Coast City.
Mm-hmm.
And Green Arrow is the one that stops him from doing it.
After all of their Neil Adams journeys. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They did that.
Isn't that funny?
That is.
So instead of having Oliver stop Green Lantern from recreating the multiverse in his image, instead Ollie becomes the freaking Spectre, and we know what happened to Hal. He became the Spectre later.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of Hal becoming the Spectre, Ollie became the Spectre and did exactly what Hal was trying to do. He recreated the multiverse the way he wanted to.
That's pretty good.
That's fun. That's a whole lot of fun.
That's pretty good.
But he brings back Moira, Emiko, freaking Quentin, Tommy. In this version, Tommy was married to Earth 1 Laurel, which is kind of tragic for Tommy, but, in multiple ways.
A little bit, but he can recover from that. That's been a minute. Also, is it just me, or was it kind of fun that Thea still has her scars?
Yeah, that was cool.
Didn't redo that. No, she still lived through some shit.
Yeah, absolutely. They didn't take out the major beats of the show. It was just like anything that happened to Oliver that fundamentally changed him as a person had to happen. But he was still able to
I think that was one of the major beauties of how they wrapped it up.
Yeah. Everything had to happen for this to happen. And I don't know, man. I dug it. I really dug it. I cried, I didn't cry. I continuously got misty-eyed and had to wipe my eyes,
But, the entire time water was seeping from my eyes and my throat was clenched.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very emotional ending for me. And it wasn't, someone as much as said, everyone, I think it was, who is the Spectre that hands him off the Spectre reins?
That was, Oh, what's his name? I can't. Of course, I can't remember it the time that you asked me.
Yeah. But he as much as says everything you've done leads up to this moment.
Yeah. I had to look it up. I can't remember the stupid name.
I wish it was the guy from Constantine.
Jim Corrigan. My God.
I mean, Jim Corrigan. Yes, I knew that part, but I was really hoping it was somebody else for a second. I know. I knew better.
Well, he says his name is Jim Corrigan, and Constantine says, "Not the Jim Corrigan I know."
Oh, fuck, he does, doesn't he?
He absolutely does. In Crisis, he says, "Not the Jim Corrigan I know." So it's like, multiverse, baby.
Yeah, of course.
I was happy. Because when he was cast, I was like, I mean, I guess I can deal with a recast. We've dealt with recasts before. But I loved the fact that we had John actually just say, no. I mean,
that's good.
Yeah, hey, but not the one I know.
Okay, sidebar, cool. From all this, what do you bet, percentage-wise, that you get to see, like, at least Constantine say something about Chaz at some point?
I don't know.
I'm going with 20, 25.
Why?
Maybe 30.
Where are you coming from? What are you talking about?
Well, it's an abandoned character.
He is, yeah, a little bit.
I mean, the idea that they bring him in by name, and in this new like post-crisis version, you can just do that. You can just be like, oh yeah, no, I used to know a guy named Chaz.
Well, the way that the TV show Constantine kind of painted John, he just sort of hangs out with a group of people for a minute, and then they all die or suffer immeasurable loss.
He is not a hero.
Well, yeah, like I was saying though, it was like they either die or suffer immeasurable loss and move on from their life with John, and that's why he's always like, you don't want to hit your wagon of my
you're
star.
Alive and you still have your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And some fun stories.
I mean, I would love to know what happened to Chaz and psychic artist girl. Zed? Was that her name?
I think it was Zed. I think you're right about that.
Yeah, I'd love to, deal with all that. And
I give it a 15% chance.
Especially considering the fact that we know that DB Woodside and dude from Lost is now in the same canon in some capacity. In the same multiverse.
I want to say.
Harold, yeah. Harold Perrineau, yeah.
We got it together.
Every time I see him, I just think of him going, Walt! Which is that's all from Lost. It's just that's how I first met him. Michael on Lost.
Fair. What else? I feel like we're missing something here on this finale. Got it. I mean, I really enjoyed the shit out of it.
Yeah, Felicity meeting Mia for the first time, seeing Mia for the first time. Which
all right, so going back to that and the comic book.
Mm-hmm. Okay, if you haven't read The Crisis on Infinite Earths, 100-page giant #2, which is available possibly at your local Walmart, this is what we're referring to.
Anyway, in 2 weeks, it will be available at your distributor, but
probably less at this point.
I think it was going to be $2.14.
Well, yeah, but maybe. I don't know.
Could be wrong about the date.
I don't know.
If you can't get that, just go to a matinee and find Sonic, because I think that is $2.14 for reasons that I just don't understand.
Yeah, all right.
Of all the things I've ever thought on a date, maybe I'll invite her to a Sonic live action movie. Maybe I'm just old. I don't know. That's never occurred to me.
Sorry, now I've got the Sonic theme song in my head from the first game.
All I can hear is the splash sounds.
I hear the rings before the splash.
I lost my rings.
Yeah. Ring, ding, 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 ding. Like, no, you bastards. Boom.
Been there. I lost 99 rings.
You know that noise when you hit like one of those spiky creatures, you go boom.
And you have like a second and a half. No, you have about a half a second to recover and get somewhere useful. Do 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 do. Does that sound right?
So it's close enough. Anyway, what were we talking about? The comic book. Yeah. Felicity sees Mia once while she's inside of the Book of Oa.
Right.
And which is apparently literally written with time. And the words
which gives it some extra qualities.
Yeah. So she sees Mia grown up. Then later on the Wave Rider, she sees Mia in person and then ducks behind a corridor so Mia doesn't see her.
Right.
And then kind of goes back and holds baby Mia, and with the knowledge that Oliver is going to restart the universe as the Spectre. Now,
the only confusing part to me,
mm-hmm.
and you may have, and I think definitely did pick up on this part, when we see Felicity again in the era finale.
Yes.
She just kind of wanders in, and she gets a lot of fanfare. And just, of all the people that could have noticed, Mia's just off in her own corner right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's that, and the fact that...
That part's confusing. I mean, she must know her mom's name is Felicity. That is not a super popular name.
Yeah, and I would understand...
care what the show did for that name.
I understand.
I don't mean Arrow, I mean the show named Felicity. I don't care how many people. You're still going to notice. Like, you're still going to notice. It was a weird moment for me.
Now, yeah, I understand why Mia would kind of keep her distance from her mom.
I get that they both would keep their distance, but the fact that there was... All right, it's one of my only problems with the finale as far as how it was handled.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that early on, they're both in the same room and they don't say anything. There's no real explanation for that. And then later, they're in the same room and there's a perfectly good explanation for that.
Mm-hmm.
I get the one, I don't get the other.
My big question, like, I understand both I understand why they wouldn't say anything to each other both times, but my big question is, why does Felicity, one, doesn't have any emotional reaction to Mia when she walks in, and Mia's just kind of hanging out over the corner. Like, Felicity has more of an emotional reaction about seeing the bunker again, for God's sake. And two, when she, like, later on, they present it as if someone just told her, by the way, that blonde girl over there is your daughter, Mia. Because she is acting like all teary and shit, looking at her from afar and talking to somebody about her, but is acting like she had never seen her before. So just trying to fit the comic book in, I understand why they would do it for the show, because most people are not going to read that comic.
No, I think it actually fits, though, for that. Because if you showed me the adult version of my daughter right now, I would be absolutely confused.
Yes, but this would be the second or actually third time you had seen her with that knowledge of who she was.
And I say that being still the person who the second or third time I'm introduced to you still needs to be told who the fuck you are.
Uh-huh. I mean, like, if you're a normal person who is, like, super intelligent, though, like...
super intelligent does not actually...
Felicity's not forgetting that shit, dude.
No, seriously. Seriously, legitimately brain-wise, there is no correlation between your ability to recognize faces or memorize names, and your ability to have general intelligence, like the IQ that we recognize as being
that is fine.
Felicity thing.
You can pick me apart on that. That's fine. But we're talking about Felicity, who, remembers freaking names from season 1 and knows who's after Oliver because somebody, he killed somebody's son, or somebody's son was a pissant. Like, she remembers these people, dude.
I know. She has it. Like, we're talking about somebody who pulled Oa out of her ass and just, pulled a fucking... We're going to phase over to Oa right now because I'm going to bring my husband back. And did all that and then confronted the fucking monitor. And I almost should stop and reprimand myself. In this context, monitor. My bad. So sorry. Anti is very different. And then in this context, she almost she doesn't intimidate him, but she for sure stands up to him. And holds something back even. Yeah. Which is impressive. Just straight out impressive. But it has nothing to do with recognizing the face of someone who you've never seen before. And in some context, have seen before. But in that context, it was like you were in this psychedelia, Grant Morrison-esque trip of the you don't read words, you read time kind
Except, of course, she saw her on the Wave Rider, knew exactly who she was, and ducked behind a corridor.
Yes.
In the book.
But that plays in later where in the show, as we actually get to see her, she was a little bit afraid. The only thing I had a problem with, the only thing, it's not that, it's the blocking. It's the blocking that I had problems with. Like, you can see her in the background.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, like, I think we're both hitting on this. She cannot be oblivious.
Yeah, she
unless
can't be
she's
oblivious.
Literally oblivious. Unless she's taking in the Arrow universe again for the first time in X amount of time, and just, I don't know. Unless she's so taken by that she doesn't understand that literally they showed us on screen her and Mia in the same shot.
I have to believe that Felicity.
Am I wrong about that, by the way? Because I'm pretty sure Mia was in the background.
Yeah, she was. I have to believe that somewhere between issue number 2 of that Crisis on Infinite Earths comic and the last episode of Arrow, the Felicity's memories were rewritten, and she never remembered going to Oa. She didn't remember Mia from the future or any of that shit. She wasn't a Paragon. They didn't tell her what was going on. The only reason, like, for instance, like, the only reason, like, Tyler Hoechlin's Superman remembers anything from that is because Lex wanted him to. So Felicity's memory had to have been erased.
Maybe. I would be willing to argue with you that it didn't matter that way, but
because
it could have mattered that way.
My own, like...
Oh, also I could argue that because she was in the Book of Oa, that existed slightly out of time. I mean, we're talking about, like, affecting the Book of Oa is something that Kronos, the original go fuck yourself person who started all of this, and the Spectre, who we didn't go over this, but it was in there, and we know it's part of the Crisis storyline. Spectre himself, like, was just laid out by the events of this crossover. It is a powerful event. I mean, on the one hand, you could argue that if Felicity is able to go into the Book of Oa, maybe she's able to sneak out with some stuff. And by the way, it's the Anti-Monitor's shadows that are affecting her when she goes in. So maybe she goes in and out with some extra credentials that other people didn't have. Like, Spectre didn't have that. Fucking Kronos didn't have that. Like, they exist differently in this version. I don't know. I mean, maybe she got in and out with something that gives her some, I don't know, something close to the Paragon level of reality.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just gonna go with the simplest explanation that her brain got rewritten with Earth Prime.
It's hard to argue with Arkham's razor. Sorry.
Yeah, Arkham's razor. That's what we call razor. That's what we call it on this show.
I think that's just what, like, Zaz would call his shiv.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Like, she could have gone in and gotten out with extra information, theoretically, but not necessarily at all. Real chance? Yeah. I don't know. Real chance she can just fuck herself.
Who can?
Yeah.
Who are you talking about? Felicity?
Oh yeah, Felicity. Sorry. Sorry, I got distracted. I was thinking about everyone in general who can fuck themselves after the time frame. And I got a little distracted. My bad. I meant Felicity. I meant that one.
All right.
Real chance she just walked out and that was just one of the Oliver outputs that gets to stay. But in this version, and like the comic book between episode 1 and 2, that it matters later and it ties in later, but it's just because he said so.
Okay.
Real chance she can fuck herself is what I was trying to say.
All right. So,
I mean, I love to think that, and I actually do. I think between episode 1 and 2, when she got all this done with the Owens and everybody else, that she got all that done. But the ending where we're left with, I don't know. Maybe it's all rewritten.
I do want to ask about the ending, because we went back to the finale of season 7, to where Monitor drags her, or not drags, but pulls her, or you know what I mean, lets her into that portal to the afterlife, essentially.
Yeah.
Felicity
where they
basically
actually
decides to die. And Felicity basically decides to die and go to the afterlife to be with Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I thought the Monitor died, so I guess it could be a different universe's Monitor. I don't, because like what happened in 2040, that future is gone. It didn't happen that way at all. So wherever Felicity is, like this is a different version of Felicity and a different version of the Monitor, because Monitor had not foreseen Oliver dying the way he did, and the season 7 Monitor that should no longer exist as far as I can tell. But whatever. What did you think about the ending of her dying, leaving her children, not helping them anymore, and just so she could go and be with Oliver in the afterlife?
Okay. All right. Monitor could not defeat the Anti-Monitor. We know that, I think, from canon. They needed something as powerful as the Spectre to do it. And apparently, in this context, they needed something as powerful as the Spectre, given Oliver's willpower to do it. I know they have children, but I don't really have a context of when that happens. Now, that being said, I also have some context of when that happens. And they go through a lot of trouble to do some timey-wimey shit that says, when they finally do talk at the funeral, where Mia just says, like, no, he trained me. I had time with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got to include everything. I know it's a bit timey-wimey.
Okay, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Did get to include everything. As far as, like, I don't think she's fucking off on her children. And, you know, we think Oliver is dead in some capacity. So what are you talking about?
Okay, what I'm talking about is the fact that in 2040,
Uh-huh.
by hook or by crook, even though the timeline has changed, and who the hell knows where this Monitor came from, because he should be dead.
Surely.
And the timeline is completely changed from the season 7 finale, so it shouldn't be at all what we just saw in that finale. Felicity, even though she appears to have plenty of years left in her, decides, I'm not going to spend any more time with my children here, even though they are, young people and might still have lives and are going to be protecting the city or not, whatever. She decides, nope, I'm done with living. I want to go live. I want to go be with Oliver in the afterlife. There's no more good for me to do.
I don't know how much I can justify this as far as timeline goes, but in a previous episode, I think I can't remember where it was. When she steps into that timeline with the Monitor and he tells her, you can't come back from this and I have a mission for you. To me, effectively, he tells her, I have a mission for you. And they go into basically this comic book and she comes back. And then she is told again, once you go into this, there is no coming back. And I don't know where they are right now. We're saying the afterlife, but I really don't know. Afterlife, alternate dimension, what the fuck ever. It's a Monitor. Call it what you want to call it.
Yeah, but there's no way back, so she still can't see her children ever again.
No way back, but doesn't mean that... All right, so if it was no way back for Oliver when he went there, and it was no way back for her when she did, it doesn't necessarily mean that she can't see her children again. I mean, maybe they can't come back, but in a way, also, the Monitor is an unreliable narrator as far as that goes. Like, he clearly kind of doesn't know the power that would be required to pull them from that. He has been beaten before.
Yeah, he's been beaten before. I'm just saying that as far as she knows, there's no way back. There's no way to see her children again.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't think there is either. I'm good with that version, but I don't know how much she's giving up. And in this current time frame, I don't know how much she's giving up to do that, because even if that's where she ends her life, and that's the version we saw her walk into, I don't know what she got to live out, because they keep, like, it's something they harp on in the last episode and this comic is she got to actually, like, hold her child and watch her grow up.
Mm-hmm.
I have the feeling that she got to do all that. Like, she got to raise Mia and William and then bounce into that. Like, she was called into a higher purpose kind of thing.
I don't specifically have a bone to pick with it. I've just seen a lot of people who do. And I was curious what you thought about it.
I think there's a lot of play here. I mean, I'm literally just talking out of my ass as I'm describing everything. But I think there's a lot of play here. I like the time frame in which she goes into that little perpetual nothing. I don't think she just does that immediately. Do you remember anything to prove me wrong? Like, I think she could just go into that after she raises them, and that's, she knew she did good, you know?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's nothing timeline-wise preventing her from doing it. I'm just saying that she is it appears anyway that she's in good health, that there isn't any reason she couldn't, hang around and help the kids out in their mission with Star City, aside from just Emily Bett Rickards not wanting to do the damn show anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's done.
Well, she's obviously done. They didn't even know they were getting her back for the finale, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just wondering what your thoughts were, but
no, I think there's a ton of possibilities, but I don't think there's anything in stone. I mean,
no.
I don't think there's anything you could count out exclusively right now.
So yeah, I love the Diggle eulogy for Oliver.
Oh God, that was so good.
I loved Quentin unveiling the memorial statue and his little speech.
Fuck, I feel like we spent so much of this episode talking about some bullshit. Those were fantastic. That speech was the epitome of what I expect an Arrow speech to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm damned if that statue didn't make me cry a little bit.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
He saved this city. Like that, after all the falderall, he saved this fucking city.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Diggle witnesses a meteor crash and finds the Green Lantern ring that they're not actually saying is a Green Lantern ring, but hey, it's a Green Lantern ring.
That's one of those where I'll happily say, go fuck yourself. We know what that was.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you try to fool me.
Yeah.
We know what's happened here.
Yep.
Oh, I'm going to fuck off to Metropolis a little bit. Which, by the way, I did enjoy the conversation with Dinah, Diggle, and Renee.
Mm-hmm.
Renee's going to stay and be apparently a mayor of a city with no crime, which good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not a thing. And then, I mean,
Oliver willed that shit into existence. I find it way more likely that Oliver willed it into existence rather than the Dark Knight Rises version of like, oh, organized crime went away, so no more crime.
We're good here. No, fuck that. No,
the son of a bitch inspector literally willed it into existence.
Even the son of a bitch inspector, you could will it for, I don't know, how many minutes before... it's an old Venture Brothers joke about like the moment the third son was born, the first two hatched to scheme against him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that came from somewhere else, but that's where I remember it. The same as one of my favorite pieces of advice. You give him an inch, he thinks he's a ruler.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no fucking way. You cannot decrime a city. Like you can't, like, unless you could just level out the SES values of every other fucking thing in that city. Like, no one has wants, no one has needs. We're good here. It's entirely copacetic. It's one of those things where, like, I think you could do it in a flash, but even the Spectre, I don't think could do that perpetually. I think it's just going to be a matter of...
Oh, no, not perpetually, no. Yeah.
Until.
I think major crime, I don't think it's all crime, because there's still a police department, and there's still jails and shit. But I think major crime, like, Star City has basically been relegated to Mayberry. Chicken thieves and shit,
Yeah, I can do that.
And major crime, like Deathstroke.
Like, there's not a serial killer division of...
Right.
Yeah. I get that.
Anyway.
But even if... all that off the table. Just a matter of time before us humans fuck it up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we saw that in Green Arrow and the Canaries.
Yeah. And he only had that power for so long. I mean, he did his goddamnedest, and according to what we're left with, fuck, it was a hell of a legacy for Arrow. Which, by the way, just talking about the legacy of the whole thing. By
the way, in the context of the show, I think it would be appropriate to say he did his monitor damnedest.
No, he's literally the right hand of God. He did his goddamnedest.
Oh.
Is God righteousness? Just whatever you want to call it.
Uh-huh.
This is... for a character that started with nothing, a character that will when we started watching the show, it was just we didn't even like it. We didn't like it. It took us the better part of 2 episodes to be like, okay, yeah, I like where this is going. And by the 3rd episode, we were just like, yeah, what's next?
Yeah,
I'm in.
Yeah.
Fuck it. It grew on us very quickly, and we've had our ups and downs. But for God's sake, that show, what it has accomplished, I've never seen anything like it. Like, to have started as many other shows it has. And I specifically remember, I think it was like Fat Man and Batman, where Kreisberg, apparently Kreisberg, that little fucker, was talking about Berlanti talking to him and saying, it's like, no, you don't understand. Like, we can start this now. And this was like a year and a half into Arrow picking up and having good numbers, where they're like, no, we can do the Flash now. That was the plan the whole time. Berlanti had this plan the whole time to do a lot of things. I'm not sure if Berlanti had any idea that he was ever going to do anything close to what we saw right now. But what we saw right now was fucking the producers, everybody from Berlanti to Guggenheim to Schwartz to everybody who's still involved with these shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked 3 names out of about, 4 dozen, whatever. Sorry. Everybody. I mean, across the board. What they pulled off was phenomenal. Like, to have done the Crisis is one thing. To have done what they did to get up to the Crisis is just Herculean, like Sisyphean, if you want to. Just, it's fantastic. I could never have hoped for such a thing. I'm so fucking happy with what I've seen, man. It's an amazing product.
Yeah, I agree. They've outdone themselves.
And on top of that, for 8 years, 9 years really, I guess, watching it, for it to have been a show that, like, yeah, we had our problems with it at times.
We've been watching it for 7 years.
Is that it?
Yeah, because we caught up on the first season and second
Sorry, I was talking about air dates. Yeah.
But actually, I think we've only been watching it for 6 years, because I think we caught up to see the 3rd season, or like the final bit of the 2nd season.
No, it was 2nd season. I remember that part.
Okay, all right. So 7 years that we've been watching it.
Yeah, which means roughly 9 they've been producing it. Yeah. For it to come out to what it was, like, for it to have started all of this is, shit. If there was a Hall of Fame for TV, and if there's not, let's start it. Shit, this is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
No one can boast this. Stephen Amell can retire from television right now and still be deeply respected.
Yeah. How much did you enjoy seeing Rory back?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Ragman, one last time.
God damn, yeah. That was one of the moments. Where I thought, they did this for me.
Yeah.
I really did want that little fucker back. And for me, it wasn't that emotional. I mean, I really enjoyed that guy's journey. It was just, he was so powerful and he went away so fast. I just wanted to hear a little bit of some ending. And the only ending I got was like one good shot of him being super scary. And then the explanation that, like, yeah, it took a long time for the rags to come back. Cool. I'm good here. I'm good.
Yeah. And
that's exactly how they explained to me that it would work. He literally walked away, slinked away almost from the series saying, well, let me see what the rags have to say. And then he comes back. I was so happy.
Might I suggest, CW, DC Universe, whoever, can we get a Ragman show?
I'm so in.
You wanted your horror show. Swamp Thing, that's fine. Ragman.
Yeah.
Ragman.
Yeah, they can do it. It is super frightening. Like, imagine looking at that visage, and then it just reaches out tendrils toward you and, like, slams you against a 12-foot ceiling. You're pissing yourself every night for the next 3 years. I'm sorry, I don't care how many SSRIs you're on.
How about this show? Ragman and the Question.
Fuck me. You should just title that show Question, like 2 characters. Question, exclamation mark. That's it. That's the entire title of the show.
Yeah.
Wouldn't market well, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, Ragman in the Question would market much better.
Yeah. With sporadic guest appearances by Detective Chimp.
Fuck me. Yeah. Every now and then, Matt Ryan just being like, okay, all right, sure.
Oh, yeah. No.
I'm going to go chuff off somewhere else. You all do you. Good job.
Matt Ryan just has to have a series of miniseries. One with Lucifer and then one with Willoughby Kipling.
Who's Willoughby? Oh, shit.
Mark Shepard and Doom
Sterling.
Patrol.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about now. Sorry, took me a second. Then him and Blue Devil and fuck.
Yeah, we can do Constantine miniseries all the rest of my life. Yeah, just keep those coming.
Yeah, it's so good.
I think we need to abandon this one. Let's abandon this episode of DC on Screen, for God's sake.
And the hope of all the things which is mentioned, sure.
Yeah, I mean, not the hope of all the things, but
we'll get pieces.
I try to hope.
We'll get pieces.
Keep a Superman shield somewhere in many places in my office. Just look up to that great big symbol and think, all the Matt Ryan Constantine miniseries they could do.
I mean, if I literally glance at my office, there's 12 in either direction and one on my skin. I mean, I get it.
12. You amateur.
In any direction.
Again, you amateur.
I wouldn't hold many things up to your level of decoration, but the amount of Superman symbols, maybe. Just damn maybe. If I had any hope of catching up.
We are DC on Screen. If we missed anything that you wanted us to talk about in this finale,
of course we did.
Please, I'm sure we did. Please.
It's been 8 beloved years.
I implore you.
I'm sure I'm missing something. God, it feels like there was something I want to talk about, and I just haven't gotten to.
I got extra teary, when Barry and Kara showed up.
Barry and Kara showed up. That was a big deal. Yeah, that was a big deal. Even Nissa with the My Beloved thing, that was still also really good.
Mm-hmm.
There's something I'm missing. It's gonna bother me.
One of my big regrets for this show is that Alex Kingston just disappeared from the damn show. Like, we don't know what happened.
For a second, where you were hoping for Merlin to come back?
No, I was good.
I mean, if we were gonna bring him back, that would have been a good shot. But
no, Oliver knew better.
No, that actually tied in really well with his disappearance meant a lot for how the show progressed. It was good.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know what I was saying. I love that Oliver and Barry were there. I mean, not Oliver. Kara and Barry. Yeah, were there. Didn't see Iris.
How dare they exclude one person?
How dare Iris?
Of all people, I kind of thought like, well, maybe Constantine.
Oh yeah, no, he's fine. John's fine.
Well, on the one hand, though, it's like, well, maybe he should be there because even Oliver knew he was literally in hell. And then I kind of thought, yeah, but it's Constantine. He could literally just be in hell.
Yeah,
we don't need that. We don't need that harpsichord in the backwards exposition for that. We can just make it work. It'd be all right.
Yeah, I have seen people on Twitter just bringing up just ridiculous things. I've seen, where was Constantine at the funeral? He's Constantine. What do you want? My favorite angry complaint was that. What's the guy's name? I'm drawing a blank now. It's too late.
Which one?
The guy who he had his own show, but he pretended to be Tommy as the Green Arrow. The guy that wears the fake faces. What is that guy's name? I'm blanking on it totally.
Fuck you. I'm blanking too.
I can't. He was pretending to be Tommy on the stand.
Mm-hmm.
And said, Christopher Chance, the Human Target.
Oh, Human Target. Yes.
Someone had a picture of him and said, where was Chance at the funeral?
You know what? Honest answer?
He could have been wearing any face. Yeah.
Pick someone.
He's being hunted.
He was there.
He's a human target, for God's sake.
You could do the same for Constantine, too. Just pick some random rando in the background and be like, yep, that was probably Constantine. Just Didn't want to interrupt.
Right.
Didn't want to step on Sarah's toes. I know this was a big deal for her.
Mm-hmm.
I still love, and I mean, leave it to the writers after this many years to point out that, like, yeah, he was the last person who knew me before I was this person.
Mm-hmm.
God, that's such a good beat.
It's a great beat, except for the fact, where the hell is her mother?
Yeah.
Dinah Lance is not dead.
I know. Hot mess. Super gone. I get it. Still super gone.
Maybe.
In this universe, it's what we got.
Just give me some explanation. River Song.
I think if we're doing this a year from now and it's Sarah who's finally dying, sans Lazarus Pit, I think we get her for a second and an explanation.
Yeah.
And hell, you know what? You know what would have been fun? The reason you never saw her is because Oliver thought that her having never really contributed to her adult life would just be better off forgotten and just blanking her from existence.
Yeah, maybe.
Very possible.
Or maybe Sarah doesn't feel like she's been spectacularly involved.
I mean, why would you? Why would you if that was your parent?
I don't know.
When did you hear from her last? Did you get a Christmas card?
For a woman who was so upset that her daughter was dead and was grasping at so much, so many straws trying to find her in that first season, it's just like, oh, she's alive. Well, okay.
I get it.
Cool. Well, I'm off.
Yeah, it's one of the many, and it's such an expansive universe. Thanks again to the entire fucking Arrow crew and Stephen Amell and everybody who, even that fucking liar Mark Guggenheim. Thanks to every last one of them.
I think it's time to hang up that badge.
We have time. No, he still lies to us, but I've gotten to the point where I trust him a little bit more about, like, no, I think he's lying to us for our own good.
We need to let that go. You need to stop putting pins in your Diane Nelson doll. She's not even there anymore. We just need to lay it to rest. I stopped Diane. I didn't agree with her whole "you can't have them in two places" philosophy. She resigned for, as far as we know, we're PR. As far as our PR knows, were personal reasons, and genuinely, I hope her the best. I really do. I think she was desperately wrong about the tack she was taking with those characters. Like, if she reached out, I would be happy to fucking help her. Yeah, for all we know, that wasn't even. For all we know, that wasn't even her directive. For all we know, that was somebody up higher than her. Who knows?
I think it was her directive.
We are DC on Screen. Thank you so much for listening. Seriously, if there was anything else you want to talk to us about, I don't know that we'll bring it up on the show, but if you want us to, we will. But otherwise, do like our buddy Travis Hines does and just message us over on Twitter.
Hit us up.
And remember that giveaway we talked about up front.
Sure.
There's that Joker giveaway.
Good start.
Yep. Bye. Keep some DC on your screen. Our intro music is by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band, Galactic Engineers of Magnetic Sounds, or GEMS, can be found on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Visit DCOnScreen.com to find our Patreon, merch, contact information, and every episode of the show for free, including crossovers we've done with other podcasts. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. For more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy, vlogs, parodies, and our improvised web series Hey Guy, visit maladjusted.tv.